Nice day, nice evening. Right, so what's up? Try to escape. What's done is done. I mean, here's me trying to work it all out, as it were. The whys and wherefores. Well, I do seem to have led a life which overall has been massively influenced by the women in my life. So I started out fine. I had the most wonderful parents, but my mother, my granny, whom I knew briefly when I was little. And then I have this picture of my great-grandmother, the Scottish side of my family, who just has this wonderful, strong face. So all the women personally given to me through my family, my birth, my heritage, were wonderful. As far as I know, no one's perfect, obviously. But they've all got wonderful, strong, good faces. I know my mother, obviously. And we did have our occasional moments, but I really could not have wished for a better mother. So that is a wonderful blessing, the which I recognize. It's part of me. I've got no baggage from my early life, my family life. People's stories are horrendous, what has gone on in people's lives. I had a wonderful early life. Even the fact that my own father died before I was born. Well, Mother already knew this gentleman, Mr. McEwen, and she'd already turned him down. He'd proposed to her. And then my own father died before I was born. So that's something, nothing about which I can do anything. And then a mutual friend got them together, and he took on these two little boys. I have an older brother. And he was just the most wonderful gentleman. When my marriage breakup was happening, I didn't need any sort of outside intervention. I went home to my old dears. I lived with them. I could work still. I had a beautiful big German Shepherd dog, and a Siamese cat I wasn't so fond of, and my horse, actually, all of whom ended up in a semi-detached bungalow in the suburbs of Mill Hill in London, the horse included, in case my former wife got her. Mother's suggestion, well, she grew up in the bush in Africa on big farms, The cat was the television for the dog. What are you doing? And then I'd obviously walk in and out, taking him for his walks. So if you were casing the joint, you'd think, oh, quite large man and very large German Shepherd dog. Oh, we'll leave that one alone, shall we? So my parents felt safe. At home, I could go off to work. My animals were not left alone while I went off. Obviously, you hear these dogs sometimes just crying if the owners have left them all alone. Actually, up in Anik, my neighbour there, their dog cried. If they left it alone, it was a Staffy. Just hear it whimpering away. So none of that. So no baggage from my early life. There was wonderful Sally that I met at college. I'd applied to King's College London. I was felling trees in the Highlands in Scotland, and I applied to King's College London for theology and music, and I got hoiked down to St David's University College, South Wales, for a degree in religion ethics, not theology and music, which I'd applied for, but I took it anyway. And lo and behold, there was Sally. So that was the big event, and she was a wonderful girl and would definitely have married me, and my whole life would have been completely different. But after 5 years, I just sort of said, I'm afraid this isn't right. And she was devastated. I mean, that's just the way it went. So I most certainly could have married Sally. And then had known other women along the way. And then lo and behold, along comes my former wife 31 years ago. This time of year I was living in Newport Pagnell, she was living in Kempston. And whammo, my whole life has just exploded ever since. With a woman who I have to describe as evil. There is no other word for her. To perpetrate what she's done over the ensuing years, my own mother was a maternity sister, never knew her grandchild. I wasn't all the nonsense my former wife painted me as. The fact is, it happened, that I was painted in that way, and the courts believed the lies of my former wife. The evidence, then, is that his spirit was so poisoned that the poor little fellow committed suicide. That's the long-term evidence. And you can't sue a judge. I looked into it. They're immune. Even if they hang you, or whatever they used to do. And they've got it all wrong. It's too late, mate. Done and dusted. Sorry, mate, got it wrong. Oops, awfully sorry. Ha. I don't pretend to be a perfect human being, a perfect Christian. Of course I'm not, obviously. No one's perfect, for heaven's sake. Sorry, I just get the snuffles. So that's my former wife. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Who had been sexually abused, therefore damaged. She was in denial, never mentioned it occasionally. I knew snippets, but never really explored it, and then sort of it's called in denial. It's just too dark a place to go. You can't go there. But essentially, she'd internalized this, and the bitterness and hatred had gone into her soul. And then came out in kicking me out and the suicide of my son. Those are the main principal facts of my personal life. My legacy to life is I sired a child, my son, Robert Francis, who subsequently committed suicide. And he committed suicide because he did not have the love of his father, that's me, and his father's family around him. Those are the facts. If I ever speak about it, I always have to then say This was God's will, and through the ensuing 31 years, God has given me an absolutely rock solid faith. I am a Christian. I don't have to think about it. It's not that I'm stupid, I'm blindly following some stuff. No, I just am a Christian. Day by day, my life has unfolded, and I just am a Christian. And as part of that, I absolutely long to share my love of God through Christ with everyone, basically. Every single human being has the capacity from conception. Okay, that's a whole another subject. I believe once the sperm hits the egg, it divides into 4 cells. Therein is God. So this abortion on demand is appalling. It's by far the biggest killer. A friend in Spain glued me into this, so I looked it up. I think in the year 2019, there were estimated 73 million abortions in the world. And it's not just the rich West doing it, it's the third world too. It's 16% of the total deaths by everything. It's by far the biggest killer, abortion. It's murder, as far as I'm concerned. Yes, there may be, I don't want to get onto it, I've spoken about it before. But yes, there may be certain circumstances. The 2 biggies are for the health of the mother and rape. Where it might be sort of justifiable to have an abortion. But not just an abortion on demand because you've had a quickie over the weekend or something. No, absolutely not. It's completely false thinking, false behavior. It's just false. It's just a part of the sickness of the diseased Western society in which I live. So I've rambled off. And then, now my life, here it is, I'm 64 years old. I've had a very quiet, settled several years. Still travelling the world. I was all, in the years preceding my time in Hertfordshire and St Albans and Harpenden, I'd been to Italy 3 times, Spain 3 times, Ireland 3 times, Scotland 3 times, France got mixed in there once, Wales once. So I've got no sort of desire at present to travel anywhere, quite frankly, and with COVID, who would? You never know if you'll ever get back again. And much as I say this country, I am British. I just am. My father was English, my mother was from the Scottish side. So it makes me British. But I'm also a white African, born in Cape Town, South Africa. I just get this. It's to do with the heart pills. I get this tickle in my throat, and I've just got to cough it up. The fact that I'm here is because of my Scottish neighbour at St Michael's Square in Alnwick. It was she who betrayed me. She who allowed that Polish woman into her house. Therefore, I met, the door was opened by the Polish woman when I went round to see her after we managed to drown my little panda motor car. Poor little motor car. Which incidentally, at present, they're having these floods in Europe, Germany and Belgium and Holland. You see cars just boom, 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 kind of floating down the road in a torrent of yucky, slimy, filthy water. And there's more to come, apparently, over the weekend in Germany. There's this great big swirl of cloud, and for some reason it's just sitting plonk. And they've had, I believe, 3 months rain in the past 24 hours or whatever. Well, yes, I did react. Yes, I used an unpleasant phrase, but simply because it came out. There's no follow-up to it. I pray the Lord's Prayer every day, sometimes several times through the day. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive them that trespass against us. For the reason that if I come to God asking him to forgive me for my trespasses, sins, well, first I must forgive anyone who may have sinned against me and try and reconcile with them. And the 2 commandments, love God, love your neighbor as yourself. Well, at the moment, I'm challenged as a Christian because here is this neighbor who has essentially made me homeless, the Polish woman. But actually it was the Scottish woman, between the pair of them. The Scottish woman being also abused as a child by her grandfather. She, on the other hand, talks about it, so that's healthier. Kept pouring out of her, actually. But between those 2 women, they've made me homeless. Fortunately, I've had the funds to book myself in at the moment, and with my leg, which is definitely because I've been splattered by all of this, pushed and pulled and stuffed in police vans and pulled here and gone there and everything. And my poor old legs just said it's had enough. So I can add that to the sort of injuries I'm suffering through the police, the Northumbrian police, no less. And again, I bear them, police in general, quite frankly, have a very difficult job to deal with. Piggy in the middle. If I find anything in me that I feel is untoward, okay, I root it out. That is what I am. I am a Christian. I'm not a perfect Christian. I do try very hard to be a better Christian day by day. That is the best I can offer life. Amen. Love old David, eh? Mother Mary's down here. She goes with me too. That's it. Oh, dear. Oh, Lord, I don't want to bend on me. Come on, I can't see. Right, there she is. It's Rembrandt.